In esports, there exists a certain set of thunderous, unthinkable plays, which are so iconic that they've etched their instigators into history.
Final minute, this was the scoreline in game 3. Cloud9, unable to take it to Squishy now. With a daily shot, he puts it through! He's been going for this stuff all season, and he pulls it off here in the most clutch moment.
Garrett is going to be waiting. Hiko charges in, doesn't check the...
What?
Oh my god! Inhuman reactions!
Armada not giving him anything. Not
But he gets hit!
He gets...
That could be it!
Now, if you're one of the lucky few who've made such a play, it can become your legacy, the thing that defines you.
See, double smokes in the same place there. Simple just jumping casually into the side. He's going to fall down again. What is this clutch from Simple? Are you serious? What is that? You can't do that, Simple. That's not allowed. This is not FPL. This is a major.
But if you're the player being dunked on, it can be tough to live down.
Recognize it.
Yeah. I get Simple, Mavi.
Yeah. Sorry about that one.
Tough one.
Here's the thing though, for the vast majority of professionals, taking the ass whooping of a lifetime isn't that big of a deal. Sure, there's a certain embarrassment that comes with being turned into a clippable highlight in front of thousands of onlookers, but typically, top-tier competitors can shrug these instances off and move on with their lives. That is, unless you're Ryu Sang-wook, the unfortunate recipient of the cleanest,
Oh, look at the glass!
flashiest,
Look at the move!
and costliest beatdown in League of Legends history.
Baker, what was that?
So how exactly did a single outplay both derail Ryu's career and launch it into infamy? And in what weird way has it kind of come full circle?
There's a joke in Korea that says, Ryu dies every 5 seconds. It means like someone watches the Faker versus Ryu Zed clip every 5 seconds.
Okay, so if you are not familiar with the absolutely awe-inspiring Faker versus Ryu outplay, it's safe to say that you're not a true fan of theScore Esports. Alongside Old Reliable and Coldzera's flying RNG circus, Faker versus Ryu is sitting pretty in the holy trifecta of shitstomps we've shoehorned into basically every video we've ever made. And with good reason. In spite of all your memeing, you idiots eat that shit up. Now, everyone knows what League's single greatest dumpstering did for Faker, since it pretty much signaled his coming out to the Western world. It cemented him as the brazen bowl-cut divinity he is and forever will be. What they might not know, or even think about, is what it did to Ryu. Now, aside from having mastered the art of poker face, Ryu is known for being an advocate of mid-game battle naps and for his strong opinions on lane matchups.
I mean, I'm glad he's really respectful, but there are definitely times where I'm sitting there like, hey, Ryu, why don't we do, this and this with mid? And he just looks at me and goes, bad.
Prior to his run-in with the cleanse and the moves, Ryu was actually regarded as one of South Korea's greatest talents and one of the most promising mid laners in the world. Alongside eventual superstars Score and Kakao, Ryu helped the fledgling KT Rolster Bullets roster secure a top 3 finish in their first season of Champions.
오늘 진짜 지친 것 같네요. 나왔어요.
Now, it was around this time that Korean League of Legends became very competitive. Several stacked rosters had entered the fray, including the new Faker-driven SKT. The result was that Ryu and KT bombed out of quarterfinals during the Spring Champions Tournament.
They're going for it. This is a bit risky. They managed to take out Mappa, and they're getting it and hit a Nexus turret. Here comes Insect, trying to distract them, trying to give his team time to come up, but the Nexus is going down. Has Ozone done the impossible? The Nexus dies.
Despite this sobering setback, KT entered Champion Summer 2013 with something to prove. And in the playoffs, they did just that. By clawing their way past CJ Blaze and convincingly ripping through CJ Frost en route to the grand finals. Meeting KT there was SK Telecom, who had cruised through their side of the bracket, and fans were excited by the prospect of seeing two of Korea's best mid laners going head to head.
Up to that moment, and after that moment too, to a certain extent, like Ryu is known as like one of the best mid laners in League of Legends. Like he really was. He was just a very dominant mid laner, both in terms of like how he played out team fights, but also, you know, being in lane. And he was like a 1v1, you know, master, really. I think a lot of people were very excited about Ryu. I think the question on a lot of people's minds, especially, you know, going into some of those early matches against Faker, was like, not is Ryu as good as Faker? The question was, is Faker as good as Ryu?
And in the first two games of the series, Ryu and the Bullets were poised to answer that question emphatically.
Now London's flash is back up against him.
And there it is, the flash crescendo. They do get Ryu, but here we go. Now, Insect coming in to try to engage. Impact from the top with that slicing maelstrom. A huge 3-man shockwave. Piglet on the outside, doing a lot of damage. And oh my gosh, has SK held? No, despite another double kill from Piglet, it's just not quite enough. A triple kill for score. A quadra kill. And here we go. Insect coming over the top. A nice Crow Storm again. Insect picks up the kill immediately. Faker wrapped up with the exhaust. Didn't get anything done. In the meantime, Impact finally tracks down Score. Gets that one, but a double kill for Ryu. Kakao getting chased. Impact, the last man standing. Can he finish the fight? A triple kill for Impact. Oh, but Insect is the one to finish it all. An ace.
SKT was on the brink of being swept in embarrassing fashion, but of course, the highly annoyed unkillable Demon King wasn't going to let that happen, and SKT responded by taking the next 2 games in the series. Now, sadly for KT fans, the deciding Game 5 wasn't very close, but right as Rolster were on their last legs, Ryu made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his career.
I'm like, even though I only have a mat on the floor, I think he's in the bed. Oh, Faker may be in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse, look at the moves. Faker, what was that?
Faker with a huge play, the QSS.
I can't believe I just saw
he
that.
actually won that duel.
I can't believe that happened.
Telecom
I'm
just charges.
That's right. Faker clapped our boy so hard that it gave way to one of League's oldest and most elemental memes. The infamous Ryu face.
It was a face of like resignation, right? He looked a bit dejected, you know? But that was only, that's in terms of like Ryu dejection.
Because that wasn't like a turning point in the match or anything like that. Like they were so far ahead, they were just gonna steamroll them completely. But to lose and then individually get like outplayed is just like a layer of get me out of this game.
The rest, of course, is history. SKT went on to crush Rolster yet again in the regional finals, win Worlds, and initiate the greatest dynasty in League of Legends history. But things didn't work out as well for Ryu. He became a source of derision among the community, and shortly after the humbling incident, his performance began to suffer. By 2014, the Bullets were pretty much in the dumpster, and it was starting to feel as if Ryu's career momentum would never recover following his viral encounter with League's four-eyed deity. Looking for a fresh start, Ryu ventured to Europe, but his association with the famous play had become inescapable even there.
Ryu in that mid lane, everybody will know this man. If you don't, go Google Faker versus Ryu ZZ. Crazy duel, epic stuff.
Eventually, the nomadic Korean mid laner found a home with H2K in 2015. And it was with that roster that he reminded everyone that he was still capable of creating highlights of his own.
Half of the games they play, but it seldom gets to more. This time round saw it. He's gone all in. Chaos Storm and a gravity stun. Ryu, has he outplayed the Chaos Storm and Winions? Ryu!
Still keeping time on this Baron. Freddy, Meganar gets the big one. That's a shutdown though for Ryu, because Sing pops the Monsoon. All of a sudden, they have to back. 2 kills, the Baron assist, and Ryu chasing down Enrated and Candy Panda. And a triple! How about it, Ryu? A serious amount of damage on him as Forgiven moves forward. Fox trying to sustain up. Yarden now. There's an exhaust on Forgiven. Oda comes in and picks up Fox. There's a shutdown, however, by N rated as he takes Otawande down. Forgiven, flashing forward, gets another, picks up Kasing. And there's the death mark. Forgiven's gone. Ryu's out.
Ryu shows you no mercy. He doesn't care about your MVP.
But in spite of Ryu's strong performances, which helped the team to qualify for Worlds that year, it still felt like he was only going to be remembered as the dude who got clapped by the greatest to ever play the game. No matter how humble he was, or how hard he worked, he couldn't shake his demon. And man, did he want to.
I mean, I still remember like when he would go back to Korea between like spring and summer, for example, like he would go back and they would, still reference that play. Like Ryu's still dying every minute somewhere. And they would show him on camera, like in the studio watching the LCK games years later. So I don't think his, coming to Europe or NA was an escape, because there was no escape. Ryu dies every minute, right?
But Ryu wouldn't have to wait too long for his shot at redemption, as fate conspired to see the two mid laners cross paths again during the group stage of Worlds 2015. This was Ryu's chance to exact sweet revenge.
그때는 제가 졌잖아요, 1대1. 뭐 이번에는 죽이는 쪽으로 동영상 만들고 싶어요.
But things didn't go as Ryu had hoped. Even though he managed to slay his adversary once,
Lulex gets caught by the cocoon. Glacial Fish is out, the body slam flash, gets Faker. Empress Divide splits him, but Ryu kills Faker.
Faker ended up having the last laugh yet again.
Nexus turret number 1 will be dropping at the 31st minute. Number 2 will follow shortly thereafter. And SKT are on the board, 1-0 in the group stages.
That game, he played so weird. He didn't leave mid lane at all. And usually this is a big roaming player, right? Ryu's always everywhere. He likes to influence a lot. This is the first time I saw Ryu want to stay in lane and actively try to only kill the mid laner. I mean, SKT, they went on to win Worlds. That was a really low percentage we'd ever win that match. It was very, very difficult. But to see Ryu play that way, where it was it felt very overt, I want to kill Faker. And he did get a couple kills on him, so I'm sure he enjoyed that a lot. But it was funny to see him be normally very stoic and, non-emotional, and then when he finally plays Faker, he's all out trying to murder him in game.
In spite of the disappointing end to 2015, H2K returned in 2016 stronger and made it back to Worlds. And thanks to a fantastic run in groups and a somewhat lucky quarterfinal draw, they found themselves in the semifinals. Ryu was one series away from meeting Faker in yet another grand final, but unfortunately, Samsung Galaxy had other plans.
The Nexus turret is falling under pressure. Juve left untouched. H2K, they cannot leave their fountain. H2K, they will be going home. And there's nothing that they can do. A 3-0 sweep of Europe's H2K will send Samsung Galaxy to the World Final.
Finally, the time had come for Ryu to accept his fate, to do what every adored, accomplished, and altogether washed Korean superstar must do once he finds that he has nowhere left to turn. Play in NA.
일단 해외팀 알아보는 도중에 일단 영어 쓰고 싶은 좀 북미 쪽 알아보고 싶었는데 그때 딱히 미드 자리 남은 곳이 없더라고요. 그래서 딱 오퍼 온 곳이 피닉스 원이라서 결국에 그냥 북미 피닉스 원 팀 들어가게 된 것 같아요.
From Phoenix 1, he made a promising transition to 100 Thieves to once again play for his former coach, Prawley. But after a poor showing at Worlds 2018, he retired to become an assistant coach. After that, he joined the academy roster, got moved back onto the full roster for a single split, and is now, for all intents and purposes, teamless. So what's the moral of Ryu's ostensibly sad story? Well, in spite of all his misfortunes, Ryu never actually let his fabled run-in with Faker define him. In fact, he let it fuel him.
팬분들이 와서 막 팬이에요 막 이렇게 말해주면 보통 더 열심히 해서 실망시키면 안 되겠다. 자주 이겨야겠다. 뭐 이런 생각 들어요.
Ryu might not have gone on to have the tremendous level of success or fame that his mid lane rival did, but his tragic contribution to one of League's most influential moments undeniably shaped the game into what it is today.
I think that moment did a lot for esports in general, and in the moment, especially Korean esports, in terms of getting English-speaking fans to tune in a lot more and watch and really appreciate it. But also just, the world in general, where people kind of realize that the human drama that exists in these competitions is just as valid as any other sports competition.
In 2019, Riot paid further homage to the play's significance by adding the Galaxy Slayer Zed skin, which included a modified version of Doa's iconic call as a voice line.
Look at the skill, look at the moves. Zed, what was that?
Look, at the end of the day, everybody ends up with egg on their face at some point. Even Faker.
Khan steps forward. That's the ulti down. That's the ulti down. Now G2 can look to turn the fight. Khan, huge healing coming back. On the back end of that ultimate. Faker now steps forward. Faker now gets taken out. Faker, no! Faker is dead! What was that?
And you could see the frustration. His hands are shaking. He realizes the consequences of his actions.
Does one instance of failure mean that he's washed? In spite of what the cesspool of TSM worshipping casuals that is the League subreddit would have you believe, no. Faker, the GOAT, the unkillable Demon King, the mid lane god, whatever you want to call him, is just a man. He makes mistakes too, not unlike Ryu.
And I think that's a mark of a true professional and a true, competitor, that you realize that you can be at the very bottom. You can have those moments, where things could not possibly go worse. But at the end of the day, it's just one match, and a bad match, doesn't make for a bad season. A bad season doesn't make for a bad year, and a bad year doesn't make for a bad career. You can continue to, improve, and you continue to be as good of a player as you can be in your sport. And I think Ryu is a good example of, not allowing those really down moments to sort of ruin things.
And that ultimately is what the Ryu face represents. The fact that it's okay to fail. For as much as everyone ridicules what happened to Ryu, they'd be lying if they said they couldn't relate to it. Whether you're vying for a championship or simply trying to rack up some elo, you're going to fall short. The important thing is not to dwell on it, but to look forward to the next matchup. And to his credit, Ryu always has.
Who wins in a 1v1?
I win.
Yo, I edited the video, the most iconic esports moment, the Faker versus Ryu outplay, and I've watched it hundreds of times. I still don't know what the fuck's going on.
You know what's funny? Everyone always makes that joke about Dota, about oh, no one knows what's happening in Dota team fights. Dude, League of Legends, man, it's all the same shit. Is it a dash or is it a flash? Is it a everyone is just these slicey, slashy fucking, everything looks the same to me. In Dota, the problem is there's too much going on the screen, these crazy abilities, and I agree. But in League, there's too little. I don't know, it's just it looks like Power Stone. It's like a little third-person fighting game. There's just too much, it's all just dashy, slashy shit. I don't understand what the fuck is going on in any of it. All of League is just so cringe, dude. Fucking all of League is so fucking cringe. If I see one more time the Worlds panel has gone on fucking cooldown, I'm gonna lose my mind.